So come take invest. We talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's items only, the investment we're going to talk today will be Ethereum Take ETH. It's my second posting as of today. Respect to recording time of 5:09 p.m. on Eastern Time. Ethereum contracting $4,310, down about 2.47% so far. Respect to overall crypto market is relatively, I would say inactive slash bearish today because of the lack of, media affectation that we are collecting basically the whole day so far. It's already 5 p.m. on the Eastern Time. And collectively, I would say in terms of like what are the key news, right? I think it's only, one or two that are, related to Ethereum or have some sort of direct influence onto the market. So the first one is talking about with respect to Decrypt 6 hours ago. And I would say this is not really a positive or negative news, but this is more just a recurring regurgitation news. Talk about what happened with respect to Bitcoin. Ethereum hits all-time high and Shiba Inu becomes the top 10 tokens. So it's something that we quantitatively have seen or observed collectively, as a group together. So nothing really, specifically, of high importance. It's just basically talking about what happened. And the next one is talking about respect to Decrypt again. So it seems like Decrypt is the only one that's really active today. Is talk about Ethereum gas fee, right? And what they're saying is basically, ever since the London fork debut, right? How much has the gas fee been risen so far? And per their quantitative analysis, with the obviously the London fork 2.0 and the Altair upgrades collectively, the gas fee has risen by 2,300% since June of 2021. So seems like gas fee is still a problem that we are experiencing, and also with respect to high transaction fees, which we give that benefit of the doubt because Ethereum is still a growing value proposition. It's not perfect at the moment. We still need to be patient about something that is will become a very big integral part of our global financial ecosystem going forward. So it's something that is again more regurgitation type of news that we are well aware of the pain points that we're experiencing, right? And surprisingly, that's really it on the news front. There isn't any other news that's really worth mentioning beside the ones we've already talked about this morning. So respect to the current level, let's go straight into the technicals. I know it's a little bit early. I usually go through the news a little bit more in depth. Right now it's the $4,307, about 2.56% so far. With respect to the current curvature that we're seeing on the MACD, we see in the curvature downward right now. Also on top of the fact we're still at the 63 out of 70. So technically, we are just hovering on a sideways fashion, try to sustain above the 4,000 mark, while Bitcoin is trying to sustain above the $61,000 mark, right? So as we have the indicator from Bitcoin on the trajectory, it's either up or down going forward, which we'll dive into technical fronts in a bit. We'll see how that will be, as the next endpoint of resistance, right? And with respect to the current level, because of the fact that we're overbought, there's a higher likelihood of actually going back down to 3,843, 3,472, or 3,158, right? And the reason I'm saying this is not because I'm being bearish or being bullish, right? It's just because the technicals on below is telling so, right? Yeah, we could technically leap up on the RSI scale all the way until get to 92 again. I mean, that's great, but that also screams that we are having a higher risk profile. As the price risen higher, the risk is also simultaneously risen as well. So that's something we'll be cautious of, right? Would you want to be, incurring risk when the risk is high? Or would you want to be incurring risk when the risk is more optimal? And that's up to your risk aversion. You could technically buy now if you want to be, right? You could technically say today's a dip, but if you read into it a little bit more, my risk aversion is just a little bit more, conservative, and it's not the right one, it's not the perfect one either, but it's just my personal perspective, right? So respect to Bitcoin right now, we are curving down. So there's no signs of actually bullish momentum at the moment. Also on top of the fact that we have a relatively large gap to be filled. So technically coming back down to 52, coming back down to 48, And on top of the fact, we're still at the 60 out of 70. So I think the likelihood of actually selling back down, contingent on not breaking the $61,000 mark, down about 1.04. Again, it's because of lack of activities around the media front. It's something that, it's up to your risk aversion ultimately, right? And I think because of the fact we have a large gap and we have two subsequent gaps also being formed, I feel more comfortable buying when we get to the lower level, right? So that's just, we need to go through the monetary circulation as well. So I think that also reinforces my, foreshadowed depictions, if you may. Dogecoin right now down about 6.66%. Right now, just selling off because we have a large gap. Also on top of the fact that we're still at the 54 of 70. We are covering down right now. So ideally buy the 25 to the 20 cents would be much better level. Cardano right now, we are down about 2.5% right now, curving down. We're at the 38 out of 70. So I think the dip is not bad. I think because of the fact that we are, below $2, and I think going to 187 would be a logical level. And I think that's a relatively good dip because of the risk versus reward ratio right now. We oversold. Solana right now down about 4% respectively. And right now we form a depth cross slowly. So technically we should leap down to 156 to 132 to 113 and ideally to like the 93 and 66 from here. XRP right now is a 108, basically struggling, hanging on between the 110 to 101. So ideally coming back down to 101, knowing the fact that we're the 50, because that's the next comfort level and basically just levitating, and that will be a better dip for us, and that will be not a bad setup as we get back to around $1 level. Polkadot right now, we are forming a depth cross and we are curving back down at the 60 out of 70. So ideally coming back down to somewhere around like the 30 to 25 would be much better and more optimal level. ALGORAND down about 3.56% right now. We are curving down, so depth cross is imminent, and I think at the 160 to 155 would be a much more logical level. Shiba Inu is down about 8% right now, and it's very logical. We are really dragged up despite extremely overbought. So I think sell-off is imminent, and I think it's coming down, and we have to see, right? Because this seems like there's a wedge forming. And as we have descending wedge, that technically means that we might have another surge coming, despite how much surge we've had so far. But we'll have to see, right? Because this is kind of preliminary at the moment. It's not the most mature setup yet, so we still need to wait and be patient about it. But we're still at the 72 out of 70, so the odds are not in your best favor, if you may, right? So with respect to the risk management levels, as we deplete back to below on the RSI scale to 35, and as we form the preliminary golden cross on the respective coins that we identify here, these are the levels that I personally feel more risk averse in terms of incurring my hard-earned money on. It's not the right move, it's not the perfect move, because everybody have different risk tolerance, right? Because technically you don't have to agree with me, because ultimately you could buy now despite the technicals, but hold it for 5-10 years. That's totally an okay thing to do. You could technically buy it and then close your app and don't look at it for the next 5-10 years and then open it back up 5-10 years from now, and you could technically make a return from here, right? But people want to feel that level of control when they're investing. They feel like the more they do, the more they actually can have some influence. But logically that doesn't quite make sense. But I also can understand that psychologically as well. Ultimately, I'm not bearish. I'm just I look out for the technicals and what makes sense logically for me. Because ultimately, I'm looking to incur logical risk and make consistent profits, not gambling with high risk that is not in my favor, nor something that I can calculate, if you may, right? So hopefully this is helpful. It's my second video on this Saturday evening, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend, and watch out for them to come up. Take care.